That's it from me. You can reach me on Twitter. I'm at Samantha TV News. Thanks for watching. You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. President Biden holds talks with the Palestinian president. The meeting is an attempt to improve relations frozen by the Palestinians because of Donald Trump. Sri Lanka swears in its new acting president after Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled the country to Singapore. 4-year-old Lisa Dimitrieva is one of 23 people killed after Russian missiles struck civilian buildings in central Ukraine. Donald Trump pays tribute to his first wife, Ivana Trump, who has died at the age of 73. In the next half hour, we'll be live in Ramallah, in Bethlehem and in Colombo. President Biden has held talks with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. This is an attempt, he says, to improve relations frozen by the Palestinians in protest at the policies of Donald Trump. He is announcing economic support, but there are no plans to resume peace talks between the Palestinians and Israel. Mr. Biden will then head to Saudi Arabia. He is scheduled to meet the de facto ruler, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, a man he once promised to make an international pariah. Yolande, thanks so much for that. We're continuing to keep an eye on the podium there, and we'll take you back to Bethlehem when we see Mahmoud Abbas and President Biden appear. But let's take you live now to Ramallah. We can speak to Palestinian politician Hanan Hashrawi, who is there. Hanan, very good to see you. Yolande now just saying there that there are no expectations really of any particular breakthrough at these talks, but that young Palestinians she's been speaking to do still really want peace. I wonder how you view this visit of President Biden, whether you just see it as an obligatory one. Hanan Hashrawi, thank you very much for joining us from Ramallah, and let's just again show you the press conference that we're keeping across. They're setting up in Bethlehem. More people are sitting down. That's usually a sign that things are about to get underway. President Biden due to stand there with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. Sri Lanka has sworn in its new acting president, Ranil Wickremesinghe. It comes after Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled Sri Lanka earlier this week. He is now in Singapore. Demonstrators poured onto the streets of the capital, Colombo, in defiance of a curfew to celebrate the president's departure. It follows months of unrest over Sri Lanka's crippling economic problems. Live to Colombo now, let's join our correspondent there, Archana Shukla. Archana, what do the protesters want to happen now? Archana, thank you very much for that update from Colombo. Well, soaring temperatures are still hitting most of Europe. There are wildfires in Portugal and Spain, and a warning from the World Meteorological Centre of an increase in pollution as well. In the past hour or so, we've had the UK Met Office issuing its first ever red warning for extreme heat. Temperatures of over possibly 38 degrees here expected on Monday and Tuesday. As I mentioned, dozens of fires breaking out in Portugal, including near the city of Coimbra, killing at least one person. And the city of Badajoz in Spain enduring temperatures of 44 degrees, with the country's Met agency there saying some regions were suffocating. Further north in France, a wildfire has ripped through vast areas of pine trees south of Bordeaux, and many Bastille Day celebrations have been cancelled. The Spanish region of Andalusia has endured some of the hottest temperatures, including the city of Córdoba, from where our correspondent Guy Hedgko now reports. You're live with Lucy Hockings. Still to come, we'll bring you an update on the press conference that is happening right now, or about to happen, in Bethlehem between President Biden and Mahmoud Abbas. And we'll also update you on that missile strike in Kyiv, just south of Kyiv, that has killed 23 people. Let's take you to Ukraine, where officials say 23 people have been killed in a Russian missile strike. It's hit a city southwest of Kyiv, so far from the front line of the fighting. Dozens of others have been injured following the attack on Venezia. Over 30 are unaccounted for. Here's Joe Inwood. Now actually to Bethlehem, where we will see US President Joe Biden and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas have started their press conference. Let's listen in.
Occupation to end, and for our steadfast people again to gain their freedom and independence.
Just taking a moment to see whether they'll take any questions from the press, but it seems not. But that was just an update on the talks that President Biden and President Mahmoud Abbas have just held in Bethlehem. And to remind you of some of the key comments that were made there, Mahmoud Abbas saying that he had confidence in President Biden and his administration. He said that was great. He asked for the reopening of the US consulate in East Jerusalem and the removal of the PLO from terrorist lists, and to reopen the PLO office in Washington, and had the usual list of requests about ending Israeli occupation and stopping settler violence and the demolition of Palestinian homes, which we do hear every time from Mahmoud Abbas. And in response, President Biden's key comments were that he supported still the two-state solution. He feels the frustrations of the Palestinians, but he himself has never given up on peace. And quite significantly, he said the ground is not right at the moment to restart any kind of negotiations, but he does not in any way give up on this process and is looking at the moment to just improve the day-to-day life of Palestinians. And that's why he has resumed aid to them in terms of medical aid, for food, and security aid too, and vaccination have been provided to the Palestinians as well through the Americans. But he is looking forward to a new and reinvigorated dialogue. But just to repeat, has said the ground is not right at the moment to restart negotiations with the Israelis, but believes that hopelessness can't steal the future from the Palestinians. So as we watch the two men leave here after their talks in Bethlehem, it was really just significant to see that the Americans have announced a new aid package. They have unfrozen the aid to the Palestinians, and we're talking about the future of the two-state solution, which they say they still believe in, but significantly saying that now is not the time to restart negotiations. Listening to that as well was our Middle East correspondent Yolan Nell. And Yolan, to me, that seemed like the key point that came from what we just heard from these two leaders, that Joe Biden saying now is not the time to start peace talks again. Yolan, thank you so much for that. So as Yolan mentioned, President Biden now heading to the Church of the Nativity and then flying on to that controversial summit, as she was saying, in Saudi Arabia. We'll be keeping across all his movements here on BBC World News, so do stay with us. You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. President Biden backs the two-state solution after talks with Mahmoud Abbas. He also promised millions in further aid in an attempt to improve relations frozen because of relations with Donald Trump.
Two states for two peoples, both of whom have deep and ancient roots in this land, living side by side in peace and security.
Europe's record-breaking heat wave is predicted to reach Britain within days. Temperatures could hit 40 degrees Celsius for the first time ever in London. Sri Lanka swears in its new acting president after Gotabaya Rajapaksa flees the country for Singapore. 4-year-old Liza Dimitrieva is one of 23 people killed after Russian missiles strike a civilian building in central Ukraine. And the UN tells the BBC it's tackling sexual harassment and a male-dominated culture within its ranks head-on. In the next half hour, we'll be live in Bethlehem and in Colombo and bring you all the very latest on the heat. President Biden has just held talks with the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. During a press conference, the Palestinian leader spoke of his hopes from the new US administration to improve relations with Israel and end the violence. Live to Jerusalem now. Bethlehem. And let's join our Middle East correspondent Yolande Nell, who is there for us. Yolande, you were watching that press conference. What do you think is the most important thing that has come out of this meeting between the two presidents? Yolande, thank you so much. We do have live pictures, of course, coming into us from Bethlehem because the media is following President Biden wherever he goes. He is visiting the Church of the Nativity there before heading out to Saudi Arabia, to Riyadh. He is scheduled to meet Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. That will be an interesting visit. This is a man he once promised to make an international pariah. He is now meeting with him and his father, King Salman, later today. So we will keep across his movements for you here on BBC World News. But let's talk about the heat. It is very hot in Europe. Temperatures are going up and a red extreme heat warning has been issued by the Met Office for parts of England next week, meaning that's a risk to life. It's likely as temperatures could hit 40 degrees. Well, our BBC weather forecaster Darren Bett is with me now. Wow.
I feel like I'm overdressed. Yeah, this is unprecedented. This is unprecedented times. We've never had a red extreme heat warning issued by the Met Office ever before, and we've never had temperatures reaching 40 degrees before either.
47 degrees in Portugal, I just saw now. Take care if you're watching and you're experiencing that heat. Stay inside between 12 and 4, they say.
I mean, a lot of people in Europe, particularly in Iberia, are used to that sort of 40 degree plus heat, and they adapt their lifestyle for that. You look at the UK, we're not used to 40 degree heat.
No, I'm sure
we're going to have to adapt for at least a couple of days.
Yeah, I'll be talking to you again next week, I'm sure. Darren, thank you so much. Russia has said on Friday that it targeted a meeting of Ukrainian Air Force command and representatives of Western suppliers, not civilians, in the city of Vinnytsia. Ukrainian officials say 23 people were killed in a Russian missile strike that hit the city. Dozens of others have been injured following the attack. Over 30 are unaccounted for. Here's our Ukraine correspondent, Joe Inwood. You're live with Lucy Hockings. Still to come. The UN tells the BBC it's tackling sexual harassment and a male-dominated culture within its ranks head on. We'll take you live as well to Colombo as an acting president is sworn in Sri Lanka to replace Gotabaya Rajapaksa. You're live with Lucy Hockings. Sri Lanka has sworn in its new acting president, Ranil Wickremesinghe. It comes after Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled Sri Lanka earlier this week. He is now in Singapore. Demonstrators pouring onto the streets of Colombo in defiance of a curfew to celebrate the president's departure. It follows, of course, months of unrest over crippling economic problems. Let's take you to Colombo and join our correspondent there, Archana Shukla. Archana, what are the protesters' demands now? What do they want to see happen next? Archana, thank you for that update from Colombo. The UN has told the BBC it's tackling sexual harassment and a male-dominated culture within its ranks head-on. It follows fresh claims of there being a boys' club at the top of the organisation and staff being penalised for complaining. Last month, the BBC investigation revealed a series of damning allegations from former employees about the culture of the workplace. Sima Katecha reports. There's political uncertainty in Italy after the Prime Minister Mario Draghi offered his resignation only to have it rejected by the President. Mr Draghi has been asked to return to Parliament next week to clarify the situation following the loss of one of his coalition partners in a confidence motion. Mark Labelle explains. Let's just take you back to Bethlehem because we are watching President Biden, who is taking a short trip around Bethlehem. He's going to be visiting the Church of the Nativity after meeting with Mahmoud Abbas, where he reaffirmed US support for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But he said that the ground is not right at the moment to restart negotiations, although he did offer further economic aid to the Palestinians. So President Biden leaving from here and heading next to Saudi Arabia. Do stay with us.
Hello, I'm Lucy Hockings with Outside Source. This is the extraordinary story of climate change. Vaccines for Ukraine. Let's look at some of the international reaction. Tell us what you've been hearing. In practical terms, what does that mean? And let's just remind ourselves, this is all part of the same story.
Piece the story together with Ros Atkins. Outside Source on BBC World News.
You're live with Lucy Hockings on BBC World News. President Biden backs the two-state solution after talks with Mahmoud Abbas. He also promised to unfreeze millions in economic aid in an attempt to restart relations badly damaged under President Trump.
Two states for two peoples, both of whom have deep and ancient roots in this land, living side by side in peace and security.
We'll find out how the war in Ukraine and extreme weather are likely to mean a lower grain harvest for the entire world. Wildfires in Portugal as Europe continues to struggle with extreme heat. They've just had a record-breaking temperature in July for Portugal, so we'll be live in Lisbon for the latest. Donald Trump pays tribute to his first wife, Ivana, who has died at the age of 73. President Biden has reiterated the United States' commitment to a two-state solution in the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians. He was speaking after a meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. On Thursday, Mr. Biden met the Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid and signed a joint declaration to stop Iran from developing nuclear weapons. The statement says that Washington would make available the use of all elements of US national power. From Jerusalem, here's our Middle East editor, Jeremy Bowen. Let's bring you more now on the soaring temperatures which are continuing to hit most of Europe, sparking wildfires and a warning from the World Meteorological Centre of an increase in pollution. The UK Met Office has just issued its first ever red warning for extreme heat, with temperatures of up to 38 degrees or more expected here on Monday and Tuesday. Dozens of fires have broken out in Portugal, including near the city of Coimbra, killing at least one person. The city of Badajoz in Spain endured temperatures of 44 degrees, with the country's Met agency saying some regions were suffocating. Further north in France, a wildfire has ripped through vast areas of a pine forest south of Bordeaux. Many Bastille Day celebrations have been cancelled. And back to Spain, the region of Andalusia enduring some of the hottest temperatures, as you can see there, Cordoba recording 43 degrees. Well, back to Portugal, 5 districts are now on red alert for extreme weather. Let's go to Lisbon and speak to the BBC's Alison Roberts, who are there. And Alison, I understand a July record has been broken in Pinhão. How hot has it been? Alison, thank you so much for joining us. Alison Roberts there in Lisbon. Stay with us here on BBC World News. Still to come, we'll take a look back at the life of Ivana Trump, the first wife of former President Donald Trump, who has died at the age of 73. Live with Lucy Hockings. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has sent the price of wheat soaring and sparked a global food crisis. As harvest time approaches, exclusive analysis shared with the BBC suggests that a bumper global crop is unlikely, and that has dashed hopes of a significant fall in prices. Here's our population correspondent Stephanie Haggerty. Ivana Trump, the first wife of the former President Donald Trump, has died at the age of 73. Local media say she went into cardiac arrest at her home in New York. The pair had 3 children together, Eric, Ivanka and Donald Trump Jr. Born in what was then Czechoslovakia, Ivana Trump became a model, designer and a businesswoman. Rhonda Croxford looks back at her life. 7 years ago, only 19% of India's 1.3 billion people had access to the internet. That figure now stands at nearly 60%, all part of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's aim to make India a $1 trillion digital economy. The BBC's Shruta Menon has travelled across the country, assessing the challenges that come with trying to connect millions of people together and exploring how lives have been transformed. Before we go, we wanted to share with you a lucky escape for one baby elephant. After it was rescued from a manhole in central Thailand, the baby calf falling into the drainage trough on the outskirts of a golf course. The worried mother, who refused to leave her baby, had to be sedated to allow the operation to proceed. But here's the good news. The baby reunited with its mum and the pair safely returned to the jungle. We're very happy to see that's such a good outcome and a good ending. Mary Masheri is up next with Impact. Stay with us.